What is up, everybody? I am George Mossey. I am here with my co-host Cherona. So this is the George Mossey Show, and if you didn't watch it, we did. Darcey and Stacey, season 4, episode 3 has aired, and we're watching Darcey and Stacey's bond kind of fade away. Like it's kind of crazy because they've done everything together. They literally lived together in season 1 of Darcey and Stacey. Then they've been living apart, and now they're growing apart. And it seems like the only thing that they got done together in this episode was going to the fabric store and meeting with Conrad for the Impossible Kicks collab clothing presentation. And that's kind of like the only thing that we saw them do together in harmony, which I'm actually proud of them because this is for their brother Michael. And I know that it's very important for them to be successful and to do this for him. So the idea that they put all their differences aside for that, of all things, I wish they could do it for everything. But this is the most important thing going on in their life right now. Stacey might argue with me and say that it's her wedding, but I think like this is very important for the business. So speaking of Stacey's wedding, I want to talk about the dress shopping occasion that we watched Stacey and Darcey go on. So what do you think about the idea that Darcey hated every dress that Stacey put on? Do you think that she was being honest with her, or do you think she was just like, well, I'm not getting married, so I don't really care? Like, how do you feel? Because I feel like Darcey was being a little extra harsh to Stacey.
Yeah, I feel like she was being a little bit extra harsh, but at the same time, I didn't really love those dresses either. So I see it, but I feel like she could have been maybe a little bit, a little nicer. She was a little cold, but I get it. I mean, they've been arguing a lot. So, going to this, she's going to feel like, they have the tension. So I
Well,
don't know.
she said that the dress looked better on the hanger than it did on her. I was like, that's kind of mean. Like that's kind of
Yeah.
mean. Like seriously, I don't know. I thought Stacey looked pretty snatched.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know wedding dresses, so I don't know if they were good or not. But I thought she looked good. Like the one didn't really make her look like a cupcake. I feel like Darcey was just being a little mean. I didn't see a cupcake in there at all.
I mean, I think it was just a little mean. Um, yeah, same the cupcake thing. I was like, girl, she looks so good. It's so pretty. But I mean, I get it. Like, I wouldn't want that as my main wedding dress. Maybe like, cocktail hour dress. But I feel like they weren't Stacey. They weren't like over the top. I was expecting like
True. True.
bling and like tight and like form fitting. I mean, I don't know what other dresses she tried on, but I feel like she didn't find the one.
Yeah. And this conversation at the dress shop about Darcey being the maid of honor, this kind of took a left turn because Darcey was trying to tell her about the matchmaking situation that she's in. And Stacey kind of shot it down and she's like, oh, people do that. That's
Oh,
weird. Did you get a good grade? And I felt like it was kind of degrading. And I do feel like Stacey is kind of moving on into this I'm getting married and I have my life in order phase of her life, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with getting your life in order. But it's also hard when you have a twin and you guys are basically the same person, like literally, you look the exact same.
mhm.
It's like it's hard when Darcey feels like, well, I'm still being left behind in all this, and I just want her to support me like I'm supporting her. But I will say this, Darcey, you didn't really support her at the dress shop. You showed up, but you didn't really support her. That was kind of mean.
I mean, I feel like I wish that Stacey would have not said like, I'm nervous about asking you to be my maid of honor because I feel like it kind of ruined it. Because of course Darcey's gonna do it. Of course she's gonna be excited. She could have approached that a little differently. I probably wouldn't have said like I don't know. I feel like the demeanor and her voice. She just sounded like kind of like sad when she was asking her, like kind of like like I don't know.
Afraid of the answer.
Yes, I don't
Yeah.
think Darcey would have ever said no. So I feel
No.
like that moment could have brought them together if it was just presented differently.
So I want to take some time to talk about Aniko because Aniko apparently is graduating high school and going to college in Arizona. So I'm very proud of her. Congratulations to her. This is really crazy though, because can you imagine Aniko and not Aspen directly next to her? Because they're like literally adjoined at the hip. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm trying to understand what life is going to be like for her in Arizona, away from her sister and away from her mom. I mean, I get teenagers will love to be away from their parents, so that's not going to be as hard. But for her sister, that's crazy. So I'm very excited that she's excited to do this because I got anxiety thinking about it. But Annika's like, no, I'm good. I'm independent. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to make decisions on my own. I'm good. So I am very proud of her in this. And I hope that her sister does well with her sister being so far away, like on the other side of the country. That's going to be so hard for them.
Definitely. I mean, and then seeing how like Darcey and Stacey are and knowing that like Aspen and Annika are like basically the same in that. I mean, it's going to be hard. I mean, I don't think Darcey and Stacey really have had that kind of space.
No, they used to live together for like the longest time. So the idea that they live apart is so weird to me. So I want to talk about Michael Binns having a conversation with Florian. So he wanted to have this bro conversation with Florian. And I don't think Michael Binns and Florian are on bro terms, but
Mm,
Michael Binns is under the impression that they are. So he lured him to a clothing store under the pretense they were going to go shopping. And Florian doesn't have any friends in Miami. So he was like, okay, yeah, let's go hang out. He gets blindsided by this conversation, and basically it was a interrogation. He was like,
mm,
why won't you get a job? What's wrong? What's stopping you? And Florian handled it probably the way most men would. He basically called Michael Binns a woman and said, stay the hell out of my business, right? I was just like, geez, he went right for the jugular. He didn't even go like anywhere but below the belt. He was like, why are you acting like a woman and you're in my business? Like, get the hell out of my business. And I feel like he's not wrong, because it's like, yes, this is a situation between Stacey and Florian that needs to be taken care of, but I don't like involving outside people in your relationship. I feel like
mhm.
you should have that conversation with each other and handle it with each other. When you bring outside people in, it never works to your advantage, because I know I have friends, they'll come to me and they're like, oh, I have these problems with my boyfriend or my girlfriend, and then when they work it out and we hang out, I'm like side eyeing that person because I remember what they told me that they were
Yeah.
doing. And even though they're totally fine, they've forgiven each other, they're super in love, I'm like, I remember what he did. He's not a good guy at all. Like, that's why you got to handle that stuff yourself.
Yeah, I felt that way too. I feel like I get where Michael was coming from because, I mean, sorry, Florian, but you do need a job. I mean, you're getting married. Come on. You do. But yeah, it wasn't really his place. I get where he's coming from because I've had friends step into relationships that I've had in the past. And like you said, it just makes it more messy. It just makes someone angry. And then it makes a lot of resentment. It's hard to bring that friend around your significant other. It's just, it was a lot. And I wish that maybe it didn't go down like that because I feel like Michael really had, he had a good heart. He came from a good place. I get it. Like Darcey and Stacey are like his family,
Yeah.
but he knows how Florian is.
It
So
aggravated the situation. And I
yeah.
feel like Florian, if he wants to get a job, I feel like he would.
Mhm.
Again, I do want to know the answer to Michael's question, like what's stopping you, what's keeping you from getting the job, because he's clearly in physical health. He can walk,
Mhm.
he could work if he wanted to. So it's like,
Yeah.
I wonder what the deal is. And it's like, Stacey has been paying for everything. They've been together for 7 years. And I
Uh,
think you nailed it last week because you was like, he's comfortable in this situation. Like 7 years is a long time. That's time where you can fall into a gap in your life and you're
mhm.
just super comfortable there. Like sitting on that couch that you've had for 10 years and it has your ass already planted in there and you just sit down. Like I feel like that's where he is. And I don't know how long this is gonna work because Stacey's not getting married in the park. Like how long is this gonna work?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, oh, I mean, he's really comfortable with being a stay-at-home husband, and I don't think that he's matching Stacey's energy because she's so driven, she's so outgoing. And she needs a partner that wants to like help pay for things, that wants to grow with her, that wants to build with her. She needs someone that's not just going to be like riding her coattails. Like, I love you, Florian. I'm glad you make Stacey happy, but come on, dude. We need to see some work from you.
Yeah, we want to see that. And speaking of Florian, he has a best friend. His best friend is
Oh,
Georgie, and he invited Georgie to the wedding. And or Georgie said yes, but I feel like Georgie has ulterior motives because he said, "I miss you guys." He's like, "I want to know what's going on with Darcey. Is she dating anyone? What's going on?" And then when Florian invited him to the wedding, he was like, "Oh yeah, I would love to be there with you guys." And I was like, "This is not." The reason that he's inviting you. He's inviting you to be there for him. And I feel like Georgie is going to be there to be all up in Darcey's business and try to get her back. Like, do you feel like that? Because when he started talking about Darcey, Georgie got all happy and started smiling.
uh,
When he was just talking about Florian's life, he was just like, yeah, cool, bro. Cool. Miss you, whatever. But then when they started talking about Darcey, he was just like, oh my God, I love her. I want to see her. I can't wait to see her again. And I was like, this is not what she needs. At this point in her life, she doesn't need Georgie anywhere near her because she
no.
actually has moved on and is doing an amazing job and is actually working on finding the right guy who is compatible with her. And the last thing she needs, this is like a drug addict relapsing. Like the last thing she needs is Georgie anywhere near her during that process.
Yes, and the fact that Florian asked him to be his best man, and Darcey is the maid of honor, so they're gonna have to
Yes.
interact throughout the whole
Yes.
time. Like they're gonna have to walk down the aisle together. Like I think, like I get it. That's like Florian's only friend, but like that's low key messy, and like that he's. I feel like he has the ulterior motive. Like like you
Mm-hmm.
said, he's there for Darcey more than he is for Florian and Stacey. Like obviously he cares about them. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but he's there to he's going to try to win Darcey back. And I hope she doesn't go back. We need to find her a really good guy. I mean, Georgie's not even working either.
Right. He's like, I'm still trying to get clients from my massage business. I was like, Georgie, it's been years, bro. Like,
Yeah.
put a Craigslist ad up and call it a day. Like, it's been years. What do you mean you're still trying to get clients? This is exactly why Darcey had to leave you. You
Yep.
have to get things done. Don't just say you're doing things. You gotta do it. So I want to talk about Michelle and her tactics, I guess. Like, she takes Darcey to the park in Miami, and this is a wing woman exercise. So basically, Darcey was to catcall guys, and she wanted to observe how Darcey flirts. Now, I am gonna say Darcey's flirting is very rusty. It's not top notch, but you have to remember Darcey is a boss and she's on TV and she's usually approached by men and she's been in relationships. She's a constant serial relationship person. So your flirting skills are always going to be rusty when you're not really out there. You're usually in a relationship. So I'll give her that. But what do you think of Michelle's tactics? Do you think that she's on the right track? Do you think she's going to help Darcey find the right person? Or do you think she's just out there to make Darcey look bad? I don't know, because some of the things she's doing, I feel like it's doing that.
Yeah, I didn't like the whole, like, let's go to the park and have you catcall men. I thought that was weird. That was extremely weird. I mean, I think if they went to, like, a nice restaurant or a bar and she casually walked up to men, but in the park, like, I get people can meet in parks, but, like, it's weird. They're just running around. The guy's doing yoga. I don't know. She kind of made my girl look a little, like, crazy.
And desperate, right? I felt like it
Yeah.
was giving off desperate, and Darcey's not desperate at all.
She's not. She's a boss. She's got this. And I think it was like the park for her to meet someone is not the right environment for Darcey. We need, like I said, we need to be at a nice bar. We need to be at a nice restaurant. We need to be somewhere where she's around people. I mean, I get that the lady wanted her to try to talk to people that are not normally in her comfort zone, but the park, come on. That's like Stacey getting married at the park. Like, they don't do that.
Well, right. The type of guy that she's interested in. I mean, this could be a way for her to look outside the box. So I was like, the type of guy she would be interested in would be on a yacht or be at, like you said, a good restaurant or somewhere like a fashion show. Darcey would love like being at a fashion show, like New York Fashion Week. That's probably where she would find the right guy for her. But the park wasn't it. And I think that she did well. Like, honestly, if I would have had to go to the park and someone wanted me to catcall women, I wouldn't do it. Like, I would just be like, there's no chance that I'm going to do that. So you don't get to be my matchmaker anymore. Like, I wouldn't do that. That's embarrassing. It's degrading, especially when it's reversed. For women, we should never do that. But it is, men have said statistically they don't mind being catcalled by beautiful women. So it's not bad. It's just that I wouldn't have done that. And I'm just glad that Darcey has an open, clear mind. This is how I know that she's growing in this process, because she has an open, clear mind and she's doing what she needs to do to correct the habits that have led her to these relationships. So that's why I don't want Georgie around. Like, I don't want him around because she's showing so much growth.
Yeah, she is. Like you said, I would never go to the park with my friends or with a matchmaker. If the matchmaker told me we need to go catcall men, I'd be like, you're fired. You got me effed up. I'm not doing that. Like, no, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't want Georgie to come back in and like mess with Darcey because she's doing so good. I'm really, really proud of her.
Right when the show ended, there was a really bad fight. And this was the worst I've ever seen them talk to each other. Darcey called Stacey a bitch. Like, I've never seen that. And then Stacey was like, I want nothing to do with you. And I'm really worried because I've never seen them fight for this long. Like, they're sisters and we've been watching them for so many seasons, 4 seasons. And then on 90 Day, they fight, but never for a long period of time. This is a long time that they're fighting and they're separated and they don't do things together. Like in the one episode after they fought in the apartment, they didn't even talk again until the yacht party. Those were days apart. So that's kind of disturbing and questionable in this twin relationship because they literally were going to get married together at the same time. So I don't know how stable this is looking. So we're going to keep watching. Next week, we're going to hopefully see things change for the better. Fingers crossed. I don't want them to grow apart. I know that they've spent 47 years of their lives together, but why not another 47, right? Like, why does it have to end? All right, that is it. That's what happened on Darcey and Stacey season 4, episode 3. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, georgemossey.com, and anywhere you get your podcast. Make sure you're following my co-host Cherona. Her links are right here at the bottom. We will talk to all of you guys really soon.